I hold in my hand a Major League Baseball.
Is it baseball season now?
All right, we got baseball again.
Baseball was the only thing he cared about.
How's the baseball going?
You like baseball?
Yeah, we're playing baseball.
Baseball was life.
For all-American pastime, baseball.
Hey, speaking of baseball.
Making love is like hitting a baseball.
My dad wanted me to be a baseball player.
I like baseball.
Oh, I like baseball. I had a dream that night about a giant baseball.
I want to learn to play baseball.
Baseball isn't just numbers.
Baseball shouldn't be just about business.
This is about baseball, Jackie.
I'm on the baseball team.
I love baseball.
Greatest baseball player who ever lived.
Can you sign my baseball?
Sure.
I believe in the Church of Baseball.
I used to collect baseball cards, too.
Anything can happen in baseball.
We're going to take a stab at America's favorite pastime, baseball.
I thought you wanted to play baseball.
Walt Whitman once said, "I see great things in baseball."
You want to be my baseball buddy? It's hard not to be romantic about baseball.
It's the most fun you ever had playing baseball.
It is the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8, beginning May 1st, 5 to 7. You know, if I put any thought into that, we could have done a contest. How many times do you say baseball in that little open? And if you would have gotten it right, you could have won some sort of prize. Opportunity lost. Oh, well. It is opening night down there at Day Air Ballpark. The Dragons, 23 seasons. Man, oh man, what a legacy. I know a bit about Dayton baseball history, and that's, of course, the longest time that a minor league baseball has survived, or a minor league team has survived in the city of Dayton. So that's pretty good. That's impressive. We had the Dayton Indians. We had the Dayton Ducks. For a while, there was a team called, if I recall, the Pilots, I think. Long time ago. We're talking like turn of the century, last century. And maybe a couple more. Of course, the Dayton Marcos, which was one of the first Negro League teams. Great baseball legacy here in Dayton. And, of course, opening pitch here in about an hour or so. Down there at Day Air Ballpark. Tonight on the show, we've got, Tasty Tuesday, and you might have heard the Tasty Teas in the news there with Ron Otto and Bill Scheidel talking about this new McFlurry at McDonald's. We'll talk about that. We've got some other stuff. Also, I'm going to be talking directly to teenagers, specifically 18-year-olds. I've got a story a little bit later about a lucky 18-year-old who got an amazing birthday gift. And it turned out to be much more than that kid could have ever imagined. And I want to get the take of an 18-year-old, what they would spend the money on. I don't know if this is the best tease, but I will just say this. The kid got a lottery ticket, and it turned out to be a pretty big winner. And he's doing the responsible thing. Going to save for college and create some financial security, which I get. That's great. That's great. But if you could blow it on whatever you want, what would you blow it on? What would you do? What would you spend $1 million on? I'll tell you. That's what he won. I'm jumping way ahead here. This kid turned 18 on his birthday. His grandma bought him a scratch-off lottery ticket. This was in California. And he won $1 million on his birthday. Now, what's funny to me, and many parents who have teenage children, especially those who are of driving age, many of them are of driving age, but guess what? They ain't driving. What I thought was funny is this kid who had just won $1 million was in the car with his mom when he found out that he won, and they had to go back to the house because he doesn't have an ID. So I had to figure out how to get a state ID because he doesn't drive. I just thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, if you happen to be a teenager, maybe 17, 18, 19, whatever, and you won $1 million, besides saving it for college, besides, setting up some sort of financial security for yourself, what would you blow it on? That's the question. 937-457-1290. We also have some science news I didn't get to the other night. There is a black hole on the loose, and it's ripping through the universe. And we're going to talk about that. It's kind of interesting, actually. But first, we have a new feature, Crazy Old People.
I see old people.
They do crazy things sometimes.
Someday you'll be that crazy old kook.
You're a crazy old man.
He's a crazy old man.
You crazy old lady.
You crazy old fool.
I love old people.
By the way, you can watch tonight on the Evening Edge Toddcast. We're on Facebook Live. We're also on the Evening Edge YouTube channel if you want to check it out. So this story really got my attention because when you think of bank robbers, who do you think of? Usually think of a guy probably in his 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. It's usually a guy, right? It's usually a guy who decides he's going to rob a bank. And he's usually kind of like maybe a middle-aged, younger guy who's in desperate needs. He needs cash, whether it's for supporting his family or he's got a drug habit or whatever it is. He's trying to rob a bank. Well, this story is from Harrisonville, Missouri. A woman by the name of Bonnie Gooch. Great name, by the way. Bonnie Gooch walked into a bank last Wednesday, handed the teller a note demanding $13,000 in small bills. Now, 13 grand, that's pretty specific. The note added, "Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you." Now, what makes Bonnie Gooch so different than most bank robbers? Bonnie Gooch is 78 years old. 78. And I started thinking, what could she need that $13,000 for? Probably, she's got bills. Maybe she's got some medical expenses. And then I thought maybe she got a call that her grandson had been arrested for DUI in Mexico. And she needed to send them immediately $13,000, which is a scam, by the way. It's a very well-known scam. So I thought maybe she was getting scammed. But here's the interesting thing about Bonnie Gooch. Her robbery last week was not her first. Bonnie first committed a bank heist in 1977 at a bank in California. 1977, she came onto the radar of the police as being a bank robber. Then a few years ago, 2020, so she would have been 75. She robbed a bank in a suburb of Kansas City. And I thought, well, maybe this woman, could she possibly be the world's oldest bank robber that we know of? I mean, 78's pretty old for being a bank robber. By the way, she didn't get away with the money. Cops caught up with her about 2 miles away from the bank, and the money was just scattered all over the floorboard of her car. And they also said she smelled like alcohol. So maybe that's what inspired her third attempt at a bank heist and her third failed attempt at a bank heist. But then I thought, well, of course, could she be the biggest or the oldest bank robber ever? So I did a Google, and turns out she's not. And in fact, this guy that is the oldest, his name is J.L. Hunter Red Roundtree. What a name. He was born in 1911 in Brownwood, Texas. And his first robbery took place. Now, how old do you think he was? Now, you do the math. He's born in 1911. And you'd think that you would, if you're going to get into the bank robbery game, you would do it as a young man. Like I said, young, middle-aged, desperate guy. This guy robbed his first bank. At least that's what he was caught. Now, maybe he robbed banks previously, but was never caught and never charged or anything. 86 years old. This guy was 86 years old when he robbed his first bank in Biloxi, Mississippi. Shortly after, he was arrested. And he was sentenced to only 3 years probation. Well, he didn't learn his lesson. That was 1998. His second came a year later, 1999. Because, again, he only got probation. This time in Pensacola, Florida. So at that point, he was, 87. And again, he was caught. And this time, he got a sentence of 3 years in jail. Finally gets out of jail. Still, Red Roundtree, as he was known, still hadn't learned his lesson. His final heist came in 2003 when he was 91 years old. 91-year-old guy robbed a bank in Abilene, Texas. And he actually got away with $2,000. But again, he was arrested shortly after and got 12 years in prison. But he died in 2004, a year later, after being convicted. But I think that might be, because I just Googled oldest bank robber ever. And this guy's name popped up. 91. And in fact, he was the subject of a documentary called This Is Not a Robbery, which I guess came out in 2008. This Is Not a Robbery. That's what it was called. I wonder if that's like on Amazon or Netflix. I'll have to check that out. Be interesting to see this guy's story. But 91 years old trying to pull off a bank heist. That's pretty impressive.
It's the Evening Edge with Todd Hollst.
Call Todd now, 937-457-1290, or message him at Evening Edge Todd.
Locally grown, seriously funny on WHIO.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for watching the show. I remember that. Edie, I remember that movie. Oh, my gosh. I haven't seen that in a long time. George Burns. I love George Burns. Man, oh, man. When I was little, whenever a George Burns movie was on, I had to watch. Loved him. Loved George Burns. And those God movies, what were those called again? It was just, Oh God, was that it? I think, with George Burns and John Denver. I think it was Oh God and then Oh God Book 2 or something like that. I think that was the follow-up. Did they ever make an Oh God Book 3? That was sort of the forerunner of the Jim Carrey movie. What was that one? I can't remember. Jim Carrey. Let's see. Bruce Almighty. That's what it was. Bruce Almighty. And then the sequel to that, what was it? Evan Almighty? Yeah, that's what it was. With Steve Carell, that's right. Oh, Lordy. So how's everybody doing tonight? Hey, if you're in Dayton, can you see the fire smoke or the smoke from the fire in Richmond? It's actually showing up on radar. there's a line that, of course, looks like precipitation, but it's the smoke. It's blowing from west to east, starts in Richmond and makes it all the way into Montgomery County. I can't see it from where I'm at. We've got shades pulled in the studios because of the sun on the glass and the glare and blah 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 blah. But oh, you know what? I think I heard about that one, Frank. Yeah, it was with a BB gun. I remember that. Huh. What's interesting is the two people I talked about didn't use a weapon. All they used was a note. Give me your money. Now, that's an interesting question. I know that there's rules that, because we've talked about it before. And you have to give the bank robbers whatever they want. But I don't know. I think if a 90-year-old guy came in, was trying to rob the bank, I'd be like, no, I don't think so. Unless they've got a weapon, right? Well, we'll be back here in about, 40 seconds or so. Hey, Melissa, how you doing? All right, so Beth, you're in Richmond, and it's heading east. Yep. Greg, you can see it in Miamisburg. Greg, were you there during the train derailment? I remember that. I was living in Beaver Creek. I haven't seen, I don't know if let's see if there's a story on WHIO. Ah, it's a recycling building. Back here on the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8, starting May 1st, 5 to 7. We're just talking about these two stories I had of a 78-year-old woman who was just arrested for her third bank robbery. This was in Harrisonville, Missouri. And I thought, well, maybe she's the oldest bank robber ever. 78's getting up there. But she's not. There was a guy that robbed a bank in 2003 who was 91. And, I was thinking, I know that there are rules at banks that the tellers are just supposed to give whatever the robber asks, especially if they're carrying a weapon, right? Yes, we understand that. But these two people were not carrying weapons. They merely slid a note across the counter and said, give me your money. In fact, the woman and her note said, thank you, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. So she was being courteous. If I was a security guard in that bank, and I don't know if these banks had security guards, but a lot of banks I go into have security guards. if a 78-year-old woman came in, unless she was like waving a weapon around, she's not getting out with the money. Same with the 91-year-old guy. I feel like I could probably take him. Now, like I said, if they got a weapon, no, they can take whatever you want. I don't care. But I think I would stop them. And people watching on the Evening Edge Toddcast commented about the movie George Burns, or with George Burns and Art Carney back in, I don't know when it came out, sometime in the 70s. Going Out in Style. I remember that. Two old guys. They decide to pull off a bank robbery. Yeah, I remember that. That was a good one. But I feel like they wouldn't get away with it if I was on duty. And others maybe they wouldn't care. But yeah. And speaking of getting robbed, I saw this story today. So back in January, if you might remember, if you still mail out letters that you need stamps for, you might recall that the United States Postal Service increased the cost of stamps from 60 to 63 cents. That was just in January, a couple months ago. Taking effect on July 9th, the price of a stamp is now going up another 3 cents. So, yeah, in 6 months, it's the price has gone up 3 cents. Starting July, if you can't do the math, 66 cents a stamp. How do you justify that? I mean, we all wonder how they justify raising the costs of postage. But they just did it a couple of months ago. They say they're doing it because of inflation. Wow. In 2022, the Postal Service brought in $24.2 billion from people sending first-class mail, which accounted for 31% of the agency's $78.8 billion revenue. So you have until, let's see, July 9th to buy your forever stamps at the price of 63 cents. After that, you're going to fork over 3 more pennies.
It's the Evening Edge with Todd Hollst.
Call Todd now, 937-457-1290, or message him at Evening Edge Todd.
Locally grown, seriously funny on WHIO.
Yeah, thanks for watching tonight. On the subject of the postal stamp, I understand why the prices keep going up, but I'm just a little shocked that they would be bold enough to raise the prices 3 cents in January and then just a few months later raise it another 3 cents. I mean, when inflation goes down, are they going to drop the price? No. Right? I mean, and that's what so many places do. They raise prices on certain items because of inflation or because of this or because of that. And then when everything settles, they never put the prices. They never drop the prices. I can't recall when I've seen that. I mean, the price of produce fluctuates, so I get that. And, of course, obviously gasoline. But, you know, it's like if you go to a restaurant and, you know, 5 years, or not 5 years ago, like, I don't know, a year ago, a certain menu item was a certain price, and now it's higher, and they say, well, it's because of the shortage of this or the shortage of that or this or that or whatever. Okay, so once that all gets sorted out, which I think a lot of it has, they don't lower the price. It stays the same. But anyway, that's, you know, that's just the world we live in. So they say this fire in Richmond, I'm reading on WHIO.com, is a plastics recycling facility. And residents near the location were ordered to evacuate just after 3. Huh. Public transit has been set up to help those with disabilities or struggling to leave their homes. Wow. Well, it looks like La Mexicana restaurant in Richmond is just on that border of the evacuation zone. So maybe you could go there tonight for dinner and hang out until they open it back up. Dum de dum dum dum. Oh. I hope to have more details on the Cheez-It event by Friday. I talked about it a little bit last night on the show. I'm putting some of the finishing touches on it, but I need a couple of more days to sort of hammer things out. But it is happening June 2nd. So keep it on your calendar. If you want to come. I'll also be giving away tickets to the show or to the event. Oh, what a beautiful night. I saw that it's going to be near 80 later this week. It's almost tank top weather. Can't wait to wear my tank top in here. It's almost like being topless, but not quite. All right, we're coming back in 20 seconds. Hang tight. Back here on the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8. Starting May 1st, 5 to 7. Right now, if you didn't know, there's a major fire burning in Richmond, Indiana. And the smoke is floating to the east, and it's actually showing up on radar. And I'd be curious if you're in Richmond, what you're seeing, what the atmosphere is. There is an evacuation zone. I guess this fire started at a plastics recycling plant just after 3. And on WHIO.com, you can see the evacuation zone. I'd be curious to know where people are going, because as I look at this circle around this area of Richmond, it looks like Clara's Pizza King to the north is not in the evacuation zone. La Mexicana restaurant is not in the evacuation zone. Pizza King is not in the evacuation zone. And Legends Southside Bar and Grill is not in the evacuation zone. So I'm wondering if people who are evacuating, and it doesn't say in the story how many people that is. I wonder if they're all going to restaurants and hanging out until they can go back. I mean, it happened early enough in the day that maybe by this evening they'll be able to return to their homes. But we'll see. But if you happen to be in Richmond listening to the show tonight, give us a call, 937-457-1290, and give us an update of what's going on there. And speaking of restaurants and food, we have Tasty Tuesday.
Why don't you go inside and get yourself a tasty snack?
Want a bite? They're real tasty.
How you get so big that you food of this kind?
It was tasty.
Delicious and tasty.
When you're hungry, everything looks tasty.
That was tasty little hors d'oeuvre.
Well, I love talking about food because it's the one thing most of us can agree on. We may not agree on politics or religion or favorite sports teams, but we all enjoy a good meal, don't we? And we've been talking about it all day here on WHIO. I think I heard it a couple of times. McDonald's announced that tomorrow in Dayton, they are dropping a brand new McFlurry flavor. I bet you can't wait. Strawberry shortcake is the new McFlurry. The strawberry shortcake McFlurry will be made of their signature creamy vanilla soft serve topped with strawberry flavored clusters and shortbread cookies. Now, that's only, of course, if the ice cream machine is working. But it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I'm doing keto, so no strawberry shortcake McFlurry for me. But it's available for a limited time. And, of course, while supplies last. I saw this story, and I was trying to remember if my mom or dad ever sold Tupperware. I think my dad may have sold Amway for a short time, about the time I came along. I think I know my mom sold Mary Kay for a long time. I'm trying to think if she did anything else, but I don't think they sold Tupperware. And I know there are still people that do sell Tupperware, but I don't know if you saw the story. The iconic product, Tupperware, may soon become a thing of the past. The company says there is substantial doubt about their ability to continue. I guess they're having some real financial problems. Their stock is down 70% this year. Tupperware was founded in 1946 and has lost a number of sellers over the years, losing about 18% of their sales force last year. The one piece of Tupperware that I always remember, there's actually two, and they were standards in our refrigerator when I was growing up. It was that big green head of lettuce salad container. Just an unusual looking bowl. Looked like a mixer stand, but it had the plastic lid, and that's where the head of lettuce was in. And then there was the other long, narrow green one that's where the celery was. We always had those in the refrigerator. Classic Tupperware of the 60s and the 70s. Big time. Now, here's something that's kind of interesting. If you are thinking about getting married and you want to forego the whole crazy wedding thing, and you've got a little bit of cash and you like going to Vegas, this weekend might be for you. Oscar Mayer has announced a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get married in the Wienermobile. The Wienermobile, or one of the Wienermobiles, I think we figured out there was either 6 or 8 nationwide, but one of the Wienermobiles will be parked next to the Las Vegas Little White Chapel on April 15th and 16th. And they are renaming it for the weekend the Wienermobile of Love. In addition to quite the wedding photo op, couples chosen for their unique opportunity will also be treated to a live Wiener Whistle Quartet. Wow. You don't need to hire a DJ for your wedding. You got the Wiener Whistle Quartet. Couples interested in the all expenses paid wedding at the Wienermobile of Love can sign up at OscarMayer.com. Now, I would assume you got to pay, right, to get yourself out there. But you know what? It might be worth it. A lot of people, they become very stressful during the weddings, and things get a little nuts, especially if you happen to be one of those crazy bridezillas.
Bridezilla status.
He said I was a bridezilla. I wasn't, was I?
If I start to go bridezilla, promise me you'll yank me back to earth.
Bridezilla.
Boy, that just segued real nicely right into our bridezillas, didn't we? Well, this is an interesting dilemma, and I would love to talk to anybody if you have actually bailed from a wedding party because of the bridezilla, zilla, or maybe even the groomzilla. I mean, usually you hear the stories about the bridezillas, but I would imagine that there are some groomzillas out there. A woman took to the Reddit forum Bridezilla and shared her story of her being a bridesmaid in her sister's wedding until she learned the bride required her to cut off her prized long hair by about 6 inches. So here's the story. This woman who posted on Reddit was asked by her sister to be in her wedding. And she agreed, sure. But then the sister's like, all right, I want everybody's hair cut a certain length. And you know, ladies, how some women can be when it comes to their wedding and how particular they are. I've seen stories where if certain bridesmaids have tattoos, they want them covered up, or they want makeup, covering them, shrouding it. They are particular about, obviously, the dresses, the shoes, the color of pantyhose, the color of eyeshadow, on and on and on and on and on. But this particular woman who was asked to be her sister's bridesmaid, one of her bridesmaids, said she was even fine with wearing long sleeves to cover up her tattoos. But she drew the line with her hair. Now, this woman has, and I didn't see her picture, but apparently her hair goes down to her knee. She's got really, really long hair. And she says it's part of her identity. And she was not willing to cut her hair. She says her sister freaked out when she told her she wasn't going to cut her hair for the wedding. She did offer to wear it up, I guess putting it in a bun or whatever. But think about that. How big of a bun would that be if your hair is down to your knees? That's almost like, and I don't know anything about bouffants other than that my mom wore one back in the 60s and the 70s, early 70s. But I would think that's what your hair would end up looking like. If your hair goes all the way down to your knees, I would think if you wrapped it up, that's what it would look like. Which I don't know. I think I would be, if I was the bride, I think I'd rather just have the hair down to your knees and have you stand a certain way. And so you can't really see it if you're really that bothered by it, or have a giant pile of hair wrapped up on your head. I don't know. The two argued and it came to a stalemate. The bride's fiance even called the long-haired sister, begging her to cut her hair. The sister refused to budge, even though the fiance told her the bride-to-be hadn't stopped crying over the argument earlier that day. But still, stalemate. The sister said she's out of the wedding and will only attend as a guest only. So there's a question. Have you ever bailed on a wedding as a groomsman or a bridesmaid, really, because of outrageous demands? Now, years ago, I was asked to be in a wedding. I had two close friends who didn't know each other, who decided to get married, and they both were getting married on the same day. One was getting married here in Dayton, and the other one was getting married in upstate New York. My friend who got married in Dayton had asked me to be his best man. Well, truth be told, I'd already been his best man once before, and his first marriage that didn't work out. So I thought, all right, well, if my other friend asked me to be his best man, I feel like I have to go to New York to be in this wedding, right? Because I'd already been best friend for my other friend. Well, my friend getting married in New York said, no, I'm just going to have you be one of the groomsmen, not your best man. And that was an odd question, an awkward question to ask. Hey, do you want me to be your best man? No. But then I told him, I explained the situation. I said, I can't, my other friend's asking me to be his best man. I can't pass that up. I feel like I have to go to that. And he understood. So I had to pass up that invitation, but it wasn't because of some crazy, outrageous demand. It just was a scheduling conflict. But I'd be curious to talk to any ladies who maybe, hopefully gracefully stepped back from being a bridesmaid because of some crazy bridal demands.
It's the Evening Edge with Todd Hollst.
Call Todd now, 937-457-1290, or message him at Evening Edge Todd.
Locally grown, seriously funny on WHIO.
Hey, Josh, I didn't see that. I'll have to find that somewhere online. That's great that the new generation loves goldfish and Cheez-It. I can completely understand the goldfish because every little kid you see, it seems as though that's what, mom or dad or grandma and grandpa or whoever filled their little plastic cups with, right? Just pour in some little goldfish. It's easy for them to hold and pick up. That was a big thing in our house, was those goldfish. But we were also, Cheez-It fans, of course. But yeah, I'll have to find that. That'd be cool. Wouldn't that be cool if I could get Stephen Colbert on the Cheez-It bandwagon? That's not a bad idea. I mean, WHIO TV is a CBS affiliate. We carry Stephen Colbert. Beth, you're having chili tonight, and you put Cheez-Its and chili cheese Fritos in it. Oh, that sounds good. Oh, my gosh. I mentioned that I am on keto, so I'm not eating Cheez-Its on a regular basis. Like maybe I wasn't eating them on a regular basis, but I was eating my fair share. But over the weekend when I went to a birthday party, I did have some Cheez-Its with cheese on them. Cubes of cheese on Cheez-Its. My niece and I divided up a box of Cheez-It. Yes. Cheez-It was the perfect Easter snack. Oh, Josh, yeah, the snack that smiles back. I love that. Hey, Tracy. I remember I had some friends who had the Tupperware lunchbox. But the thing that I always remembered with the Tupperware lunchbox was that kids would lose the lid because it wasn't attached. You actually pulled it off. The ones that I remember, you just popped it off. And then somehow they'd get lost, and then you end up with a Tupperware bowl or, box with no lid. Hey, Jim, how you doing tonight? How's my hometown there in Beaver Creek? I was in Beaver Creek this morning. I had to go to the post office. And then made my daily stop at Dunkin'. No, I didn't, Josh. I did not buy any stamps. I had to drop off some prizes that I had to mail out. You want to know? Here's something that's this'll get you. I shouldn't really complain about 66-cent stamps. When I send out prizes that people win here on the station, I have to send them special because I have to track them, because a lot of the times the prizes are of high value, because since the pandemic, we don't have people coming to the station to pick up their prizes like they used to. Everything that I send out costs me $5.60. Every single envelope. How crazy is that? All right, here we're coming back. Back here on the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8, starting May 1st, 5 to 7. I know we have some young people that listen to this show. I've talked to them. And I opened the show with this tonight. 18-year-old kid in California, on his birthday, the first day he was old enough to win the lottery, he scratches off a ticket that his grandma bought him as a gift, and he won $1 million, the top prize. Now, he's doing the responsible thing, and he's going to save the money for college and make investments. But I'd love to talk to some young people, teenagers. If you won that kind of money, $1 million, besides being responsible, like this kid, what would you blow it on? I want to know what's sort of on your radar. What sort of things as a teenager would you just go nuts and buy as much as you could have? That's what I'd like to know. 937-457-1290. Keith in Greenville. What's up, Keith?
Hey, Todd. How you doing?
I'm good.
I don't want to get off topic about the lottery winnings, but you asked about the smoke from Richmond.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Look, you can bring up whatever.
I'm sitting here in Greenville, and I can see the plume and then the trail of smoke, and that's a good 28, 30 miles away.
Wow. Well, I said this earlier. It's on radar. It's showing up on the Doppler 7 radar. And you can see where it starts in Richmond. And there's a line of light blue that is stretching almost to the Montgomery County line. But it looks like it's dissipating a little bit because when I came in, it was much, much thicker. And it was like a complete line into Montgomery. But it looks like it's maybe dying down a little bit, but I'd love to get somebody's perspective that's in Richmond. You know,
if I can see it this far away, talk to somebody there.
Yeah, I would love that.
It's a beautiful sky today. I mean, it's got a few chemtrails going on. Everything else is all nice and beautiful except for that dark smoke.
Yeah, I got you. All right, Keith. Well, thank you from the update for the update there in Greenville. That line's open 937-457-1290. So I'm asking the question. If you're a teenager and maybe you turn 18 and you win $1 million in a scratch-off lottery, what are you going to spend the money on? What are you going to blow it on? I mean, this guy, who won it in California, college, investments. Okay, well, that's smart. I would do the same thing. But if you just had that crazy amount of mad money, what would you just blow it on? Let me know.
It's the Evening Edge with Todd Hollst.
Call Todd now, 937-457-1290, or message him at Evening Edge Todd.
Locally grown, seriously funny on WHIO.
I think if I was, 18 years old and I won $1 million and I wasn't going to spend it on college or in investments. I think the obvious thing would be like a car, right? I'd buy my dream car. That would probably be the first thing. Now, see, Tracy, this is what I'm saying. She'd spend it on college, and that's what this kid is doing. But the caveat that I'm making is you're not going to spend it on college. You're not going to spend it on investments. Like, what would you blow it on? Would you blow it on clothes? Would you blow it on a car? Would you blow it on travel? $1 million, it's a lot of money, but it's not going to go, super, super far if you're just going out there and spending it frivolously, which is the fun thing, right? But I don't know. Josh, you're right. I do have the best job. It's all I ever wanted to do. And I'm pretty lucky. Pretty lucky to be doing what I'm doing, especially where I grew up, I know people who are successful in radio and they have great jobs and they're working in cities that are nice cities, but they're not from there. And it's fine. A lot of people do that. But for me, for what I do and what I talk about, being able to do a show in my hometown, I think adds another dimension to it. Like if I was talking politics, like all the other shows on WHIO, I could live anywhere, right? Because we're all talking about, or all the subjects all the same. Left, right, and the division, and what one candidate's doing and the other candidate. You could be anywhere, and it doesn't matter. But I think the thing that makes my show different is that I can talk about the history of Dayton with some authority because I've lived here for 53 years. So there are things that I remember. And people who also have been here for a long time can relate to it. I always think about the great example is Reich's Downtown Dayton and Santaland and the Tyke shop at Christmas time, all of that. Somebody who just moved here, they have no memory of that, no recollection. But boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, around Christmas time, when I bring up Reich's and, Santaland and their shopping department store windows and, people go nuts. So thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. I try to relate to my listeners. Toys for Tots. Well, there was a place in Reich's where little kids could go to shop. It was called the Tyke Shop. That's what I was talking about. Here we go. We're coming back.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
It is the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8, beginning May 1st, 5 to 7. Got a couple of things we're talking about tonight. Most pressing, there's a major fire in Richmond, and the smoke is blowing to the east. And it's a big fire, and people can see the smoke from miles and miles around, as they say. In fact, it's showing up on the radar. It's so thick. Which is, I think the last time I saw smoke from a fire showing up on radar was a forest fire out west. Not showing up on our radar necessarily, though maybe it did. There were a couple of fires a few years ago. I think we picked up smoke that had drifted across the country on our radar. But if you're in Richmond and you want to give us a live report with what's going on, there was an area in Richmond where there's an evacuation zone that started just after 3 o'clock. And people living near this plastic recycling plant that's going up in flames were evacuated. So I'd be curious to get a live witness there in Richmond, 937-457-1290. The other thing that more of on a lighter side, I'd love to talk to a teenager, an 18-year-old maybe. And I say 18 because the story of a kid in California, the day he turned 18, grandma gave him a scratch-off lottery ticket for his birthday. And I've done that in the past at Christmas time, right? You buy a couple of lottery tickets just for fun. You throw them in the birthday card or the Christmas card or even at birthday time, just throw it right in there. It's fun. Most of the time you don't win. Maybe you win $2, Maybe you get lucky and get a 10 spot, This kid won $1 million. $1 million. Now, he says he's going to use it to pay for college and make investments for the future. And that's the responsible thing to do. I get it. But my question is, if you're 18 or around about that age, what are the things that you would blow your money on? You blow that $1 million on. Let's just say your college is taken care of. You don't need the college fund. Let's say you're not going to invest it, blah, 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 whatever. We're just having fun here. We're just having fun. What are the kind of things that are on your radar? Would you buy a car? Would you buy your dream car? Because a lot of kids today, they don't have their license. The idea of a dream car is not the same dream as it was when many of us were younger. Most of us, when we were younger, we couldn't wait to get our license, and we, ended up driving a clunker until you could afford something better. But you always had sort of that dream car in the back of your mind. It's like, oh, man, if I could drive that. Mine was a Porsche 911. If I could drive, oh, wow. Had posters on my wall. That's what I would buy. If I was 18. But today, I don't think kids feel the same. Would it be clothes? Maybe, but I'll tell you what. When I go out, I see a lot of young kids. If you go to the grocery store, you go to the Target or wherever. They're like wearing pajamas or something. They're not decked out to the nines or whatever. At least that's my experience, what I've seen. $1 million in new clothes, that's a lot of clothes. Video games? Would it be video games? I don't know. I mean, what would you spend your money on? That's my question. 937-457-1290. We have a Florida man story. Oh, Florida man shines with every single crime. Stupefying and delicious. Some might even think fictitious. Florida man is always ambitious. Well, this story comes from Wildwood, Florida. And caught my attention because it violates one of my hard, fast rules of never using food as a weapon. But this 39-year-old Florida man was arrested after cops say he struck his wife with a box of chicken wings. Now, she was not injured in the assault. So you don't need to worry about that. But she still got smacked upside of the head with a box of chicken wings. According to the victim, the two had been arguing about his alleged infidelity with another woman when it turned ugly. The woman who was hit was left with splattered hot sauce on her face and her blouse. The trigger apparently was when the wife grabbed her husband's cell phone to look at his messages. And that's what set him off. And that's interesting because, my wife and I had a conversation not long ago because someone in her orbit, they were talking about that very thing, like sharing messages with each other and looking at each other's cell phones. And she's like, I've got nothing to hide. You could look at my cell phone. And I felt the same way. But that, for some people, that is a line not to be crossed. And that's what she did. And that's when the box of chicken wings took flight. The woman told police that some of the wings did hit her on her right shoulder and under her chin, but she was not injured. During police questioning, the man reportedly admitted that he got mad and threw the wings, but did not intend to hit his wife with the chicken. Okay. Anyway, he was charged with domestic assault and booked into the county jail. Now, we also have a Florida woman story.
totally crazy. She ain't no lady. Meth grin, smells of gin. She's really wild, yeah, doing it trailer style. She'll pull a razor, carries a taser, trash a bar, steals a car. She's the one Mama said stay far away from. Yeah, she's a Florida woman.
Now, we had a story similar to this a couple of weeks ago before I went on vacation, and I am almost certain that that the story we had then had to do with a teacher in Florida, and it was a guy that time who was recording fights in his classroom. He was a teacher. I think he was maybe a substitute math teacher or something. But he was recording kids fighting in his classroom and then posting them online. Well, this story is a 23-year-old middle school teacher from Tallahassee, female teacher. She's facing charges for contributing to the delinquency of a minor after prosecutors say that she organized fights in her classroom. Now, she said that they weren't recording them, but of course, some of these were recorded by students. Court documents state that several sixth grade girls told detectives that they participated in planned fights during school hours. And they alleged that they were invited back to additional fights. So apparently they performed well in the first bout, and the teacher said, "Come on back." But in the videos that were recorded, the teacher was seen sitting on her desk and several times admonishing some of the students for pulling each other's hair, because that's just a no-no. You see it a lot in girl fights, but pulling hair is just a no-no. Guys don't generally fight that way. The teacher says she didn't organize the fights, but she did admit she didn't stop them or call for help. Wow. Now she's facing 4 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. So there you go. A couple of Florida men and women out of control. 937-457-1290. There's people watching tonight on the Facebook Toddcast on the stream, and somebody mentioned, I think it was Josh. Yeah, he said that he was watching Stephen Colbert, and he said in a little bit that he did that Cheez-It and Goldfish are the choice snack and a new trend for a younger generation. And I believe that. I mean, Cheez-It's very popular. Of course, I've talked about it a lot on the show. Goldfish, another very popular snack item. I wonder where those were made. I've never thought about that. But goldfish were like a big deal growing up in my house. And I want to say that I think they came out around the time my sister was little. She was probably that first generation as a toddler that was fed Cheez-Its as a little snack. Now everywhere you go and you see kids, I think it's still, I still think it's the goldfish, maybe Cheerios. But I had the thought, in our campaign to try to get the Cheez-It statue and really promote Dayton as being the home of Cheez-It, I should try to get Stephen Colbert involved. I mean, WHIO-TV is a CBS affiliate, so, Channel 7 carries his show at night. I got to see if there's some way to get him involved. Having him behind it, oh my gosh, that would be great.
It's the Evening Edge with Todd Hollst.
Call Todd now, 937-457-1290, or message him at Evening Edge Todd.
Locally grown, seriously funny on WHIO.
Tracy, that's a great idea. You know what I think I need to do? I think I need to do another video talking about my desire to bring a Cheez-It statue to Dayton and direct it at Stephen Colbert. That would be awesome. And share it on social media, because maybe that would be a big step. If I get him behind it, oh, come on now. That would be great. Yeah, Beth, thank you for that. Somebody actually just sent me a bunch of information. I'm going to talk about that here. This is pretty cool. And believe it or not, Ohio is the goldfish capital of the world. Did you know that? Crazy. All right, we're coming back in 30. All right. Back here on the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday from 6 to 8. And starting May 1st, 5 to 7. We were just talking about a report that somebody saw on the Stephen Colbert Show that said a new trend for the new generation, I guess maybe Gen Z, is, and it has to do with snack foods, Cheez-It and Goldfish crackers. And Tim, who's listening, sent me this link, and it's from Campbell's Soup. And I guess Campbell's owns Goldfish. That's probably the deal. They own Pepperidge Farms. But I didn't know much about the history of this. So it's you're going to learn something here. 1962, Pepperidge Farm founder Margaret Rudkin launched Goldfish crackers in the U.S. She discovered the crackers while she was on vacation in Europe, in Switzerland. They were visiting a cookie manufacturer that had the product, and they reached an agreement for her to bring back the salty fish-shaped crackers to the U.S. The original Swiss creator, the baker named Oscar Cambly, apparently created the cracker as a birthday present to his wife, whose astrological sign was a Pisces, which, of course, is represented by a fish. The first 5 flavors of Goldfish were lightly salted, cheese, barbecue, pizza, and smoky. And it wasn't until 1966, 4 years later, after the crackers were first launched, that the cheddar cheese flavor was introduced. I'm wondering if cheddar is like a very American sort of cheese. You would have thought that they would have had cheddar cheese over there in Switzerland. It seems like a no-brainer. Like that would have been maybe one of the first flavors. But I don't know. I don't know if cheddar's like an American flavor kind of thing. But here's something I didn't know. The goldfish capital of the world. You ready for this? Ohio. Yes, Willard, Ohio is apparently the goldfish capital of the world. There is a bakery in Willard. And Willard, I had never heard of Willard. It's up near, let's see, I had it up on the map here. It's sort of, I guess, southeast of Toledo, southwest of Cleveland. It's sort of like right in the middle, in between those two cities. I don't know, probably about 60, 70 miles from Lake Erie, maybe a little further. But that's where Willard is. They have a factory there. And the factory produces, oh my gosh, 5 million goldfish crackers a day. Oh, I'm sorry, 50 million. 50 million goldfish crackers a day. The goldfish signature smiley face was added in 1997, and about 40% of the crackers feature the smile. I had no idea. Now there's a question. Does Willard have a giant goldfish cracker statue? That's an idea. I have no idea. Somebody sent me a TikTok video, and I'm going to try to post it on Facebook. I think it was from TikTok, or it could have been Facebook Reels or whatever it was. But somebody was going through sort of a rundown of all of the unusual structures that Ohio has. And, you know, many people are familiar with that giant Longenberger basket building. Remember Longenberger baskets? I think they're out of business now. Some people still collect them. But at one time, their corporate office looked like a giant basket. And I'm assuming that it's still there. There's I saw in the video, there's a city in Ohio that has giant drumsticks. And I can't remember what... I'm going to have to look for that video during the break because she runs through it. we can talk about it. But I bet they don't have a giant goldfish statue in Willard. And I'm asking the question, why not?
The Evening Edge with Todd Hollst.
Call Todd now, 937-457-1290, or message him at Evening Edge Todd.
Locally grown, seriously funny on WHIO.
What?
I got you. Don't worry. A field. A field of concrete corn. The world's largest. A field of concrete corn. The world's largest drumsticks in a town with more gas stations than people. The largest basket, and yes, that's a building. The world's largest horseshoe crab in a completely landlocked town. A free stamp in the middle of downtown Cleveland. A field of concrete corn. The world's largest drumsticks in a town with more gas stations than people. The largest basket, and yes, that's a building. The world's largest horseshoe crab in a completely landlocked town. A free stamp in the middle of downtown Cleveland. Judy's hand sculpture. A giant wall of gum on the side of the town's most beloved restaurant. The Futuro House. The Things Swallowed exhibit in a museum. The world's largest cuckoo clock. A house made entirely of trash. Completely abandoned village known as Helltown, Ohio. The world's largest washboard. And that's just the start of it, because only in Ohio, I'm proud of our weird little state.
Hey, Harvey, thanks for watching tonight on YouTube. Yeah, I think it's the same feed. It's the same show. I think most people, I mean, right now there's only 12 people on, but we've had many on before. But I think most people are probably watching on Facebook. But we'll be back here in just a minute. Back here on the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8. Starting May 1st, 5 to 7. So I found this video I was talking about. I didn't realize that Ohio, besides being the birthplace of Cheez-It here in Dayton, it is also the home of goldfish, the capital of the world, the goldfish capital of the world. And I'm talking about the crackers, not the cute little pets that you can win at the carnival that live about 10 minutes once you get them home. There's a bakery in Willard, Ohio. It's a town of 600 or 6,000. And according to the story from Campbell's, who own Pepperidge Farms, this factory produces 50 million goldfish crackers a day. 50 million. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of goldfish. But those, they don't have a statue of a goldfish. You would think that would be something that they might be interested in. I mean, a town of 6,000 people, they could probably use the tourists, right? And that's what we're working on here. We're a much bigger city, but we're trying to get the Cheez-It statue. But somebody sent me a video today. Let me see who it came from real quick. Came from Tom over Instagram. And this is just the audio. And some of the places that this girl mentions in her video, you'll know where they're from. But some of them I'm not sure about. She doesn't say, and her big noggin kind of blocks up the picture of where these particular items are. But listen to this.
A field of concrete corn. The world's largest drumsticks in a town with more gas stations than people. The largest basket, and yes, that's a building. The world's largest horseshoe crab in a completely landlocked town. A free stamp in the middle of downtown Cleveland. Judy's hand sculpture. A giant wall of gum on the side of the town's most beloved restaurant.
That's Greenville.
The Futuro House. The Things Swallowed exhibit in a museum. The world's largest cuckoo clock. A house made entirely of trash. Completely abandoned village known as Helltown, Ohio. The world's largest washboard. And that's just the start of it, because only in Ohio, I'm proud of our weird little state.
That should be some sort of travel manual, right? That should be a book that you can buy, and it will tell you how to get to all these places. I would completely turn that into a web series. And of course, the finale would be when we get the Cheez-It statue. But if you are aware of any of those places that were mentioned, like, where are the drumsticks? I couldn't tell from the video where the drumsticks were. The giant washboard. Where's the giant washboard? I saw the picture, and it's like the size of a building. Like a 5 or 6 story building. But I couldn't see where it was located. Where's the Museum of Unusual Things that were swallowed? Where's that? Maybe you visited there with your family. 937-457-1290. We have some science news.
Consider the following: miscellaneous and wondrous things.
Science. You see, it's a matter of science, lad. Come here, I'll show you.
Brilliant.
Blah, blah, blah. Science, science, science.
How can scientific truth be heresy?
What did the great man of science have to say today?
Got a couple of stories from the science desk. The first one, NASA says there is a runaway black hole tearing through the universe. Now, before you freak out, no, it's not heading our way. So you don't have to worry about filling out your bingo card. Black hole ripping through our solar system is not on the bingo card. However, they do say that if this black hole were in our solar system, this is how massive and how fast that it's traveling. It could travel from Earth to the moon in 14 minutes. 14 minutes. That is moving. They say the supermassive black hole created a never-before-seen trail of stars, leaving behind a 200,000 light-year-long contrail of newborn stars twice the diameter of our own Milky Way. NASA said that nothing like this has ever been seen before. I saw pictures of it from the Hubble. Holy cow. They say the Hubble Space Telescope captured the rare sighting accidentally. The invisible monster weighs as much as 20 million suns and was most likely caused, and this is weird, the way they describe it, a rare, bizarre game of galactic billiards among three massive black holes. They say, the astronomers believe, the runaway black hole, the one that's traveling through the universe, was set free after two other galaxies merged about 50 million years ago, which brought together the two supermassive black holes at their centers. Then a third galaxy came along with its own supermassive black hole, and the three combined to form a chaotic and unstable configuration. Researchers believe one of the black holes gained momentum from the other two and escaped out of its host galaxy, while the two took off in the opposite direction. That is nuts. And if you can find the story, I'll post it online. You do see it through the Hubble Space Telescope. Pretty cool. And again, it's not heading our way. So there you go. That's good news. Now, here's another weird story, and this kind of takes a dark turn. I just want to forewarn you. And it has to do with AI. And I've talked about AI a few times on the show. There's a big company, broadcast company, who is trying to introduce AI into radio. So DJs like me, who work also over on the Eagle, our 80s station, will be out of a job, and they can just put on some sort of AI DJ who isn't real, but just, talks in a voice that sounds human and knows information about what's going on in the community and knows all the artist information that one would ever want to know about Duran Duran or, the Police or whoever. And they're trying to make that part of the future of radio. So I've talked about AI before, and it's been a topic on the show. But this story takes place in Belgium. Belgian man reportedly took his own life after a series of conversations with an AI chatbot. So this was reported in a newspaper there in Belgium, La Bria, and it was also in the New York Post. For 6 weeks, this man's wife says that this guy was having conversations with this AI over an app called, I guess, Chai. And the bot is called Eliza. So this guy was talking to Eliza for about 6 weeks. And apparently he has a real concern about global warming. And that's what he was talking to the AI chatbot Eliza about. But during the conversations, what eventually started happening is the chatbot seemingly became jealous of the man's wife and spoke about living together as one person in paradise with the man. So something was going on with this AI chatbot, and it was starting to, give mixed signals, I guess, to this guy. At one point in the conversation, Eliza, the chessbot or chatbot, told the man that his wife and children had died. What? His surviving wife says her husband began to speak with the chatbot about the idea of killing himself if that meant Eliza would save the earth. So this guy clearly had some mental health problems to begin with. But the chatbot, apparently, according to the wife, encouraged him to end his own life. She says if it weren't for the app, he'd still be alive. But in a statement, the app's parent company disputes this notion, saying that their AI model is in no way responsible for this tragic story. They also said, and this is where you can tell, like, they do feel some culpability or potential liability, because once they heard about the story, they began working on a crisis intervention feature. So if the AI has a conversation with anybody who starts talking about ending their own life, it would give them information on how to get mental health help. The company did say, however, some users of their app, and they say they have 5 million users, often form a very strong relationship with the AI model. Some even asking if they can marry the AI chatbot. So there you go. There's AI for you. Wow. Want to stay away from that. Sue in Dayton. What's up, Sue?
Yes, hi. I'm really enjoying your show tonight.
Oh, thank you.
It's really cool. I did want to say one thing. I just wonder if the guy got arrested for hitting his wife with the chicken wings, if maybe the wings were still attached to the chicken.
No, I don't think so. They were in a box. They were in a box. I guess, it was probably just sitting there on the end table, and he just, but see,
otherwise that would really hurt.
Well, it completely would. And I would never, ever, 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 Sue, throw something at my wife. But if I were, it wouldn't be a box of chicken wings that I was ready to eat. It would be something else. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I have to tell you one other thing. There is a book, and I have it. It's called Weird Ohio, and it's a paperback book that I purchased a few years ago, and it does exactly what you're saying. It tells about all these weird places in Ohio with all these weird statues and how to get to them. So if you want to take mini trips around Weird Ohio,
yes,
you can do.
I do. I think that would be an interesting web series, don't you think?
I don't know about interesting, but yeah, there's a lot of weird statues around Ohio.
Well, it would be me and probably my wife and maybe the dogs traveling around the state of Ohio, going to weird places and looking at their weird statues.
I think it would be cute.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Yeah, I could see us doing that.
I'll have to find out where your station is located, and I'll drop you off a copy.
Oh, well, I can find it. I can find it at the bookstore or on Amazon.
I believe it's called Weird Ohio, and it's a little red book, and I think I picked mine up at Ollie's.
Okay.
So they may still have them.
Well, I'll check it out, keep it in my glove compartment, and if we're ever out driving around the countryside, maybe we'll find that giant field of concrete corn.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Guys are really enjoyable.
Oh, thank you, Sue. I appreciate it. That line's open, 937-457-1290. I'll have to get that book, but I would love to know if anybody knows where these some of these landmarks are that were in that video. The concrete corn, a field of concrete corn. Where's it at, Jimmy? In Dublin? You're on the wrong mic. That's not the right mic. That's all right. Don't worry about it. It's in Dublin. All right. Maybe I'll go get the book and we'll figure it out.
It's the Evening Edge with Todd Hollst.
Call Todd now, 937-457-1290, or message him at Evening Edge Todd.
Locally grown, seriously funny on WHIO.
Thank you, Melody. Dublin. Huh. I've been to Dublin, Ohio. That's where the concrete field corn is? I've never seen that before. I mean, admittedly, I've not driven through the country near Dublin. I'm usually just getting off of the highway. I had some friends that used to live in Dublin. Wonder how old or how long it's been there. I wonder if that's like a new thing. Huh. And the drumsticks. Oh, here we go. Hocking Hills. Visited Columbus Washboard Company. Gene, and is that where the giant washboard is? Interesting. Huh. Interesting. So the drumsticks are in Warren, Ohio. Okay. Thank you, Gene. Thank you for that. Yeah, I guess Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters was born in Warren, Ohio. And that's where the drumsticks are, as a tribute to him. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that. Wouldn't that be a cool web series? I think it would be a cool web series. Going on a little video tour, checking out all the weird stuff. Weird and Wild, Ohio. Thanks for watching, Frank. All right, we're coming back in 40 seconds. Cornhenge. Ah. Interesting. Well, I've never seen that. I'll have to check that out. Back here on the Evening Edge, Monday through Friday from 6 to 8, starting May 1st, 5 to 7. I think I have the idea. I'm going to have to go on a tour of Ohio to all these weird places that have weird statues and, you know, commemorative artwork. I don't know. So apparently in Dublin, Ohio is where the concrete corn is. And Melody, who's watching on the live stream, says the corn is 109, 6 feet tall. 109, 6 feet tall ears of corn. It's called cornhenge. And then the drumsticks, somebody called in and said that they're from Warren, Ohio, or they're in Warren, Ohio, because that's where rock star David Grohl's from. And David Grohl was the original, or he was not the original, but he was the drummer of Nirvana. And that's where he was born. So there you go. Didn't know that. I think there needs to be a web series, Todd's Weird and Wild Ohio. And I just go on tour and take videos of all these crazy places. And, of course, the grand finale will be when we get our Cheez-It statue. Blake in Greenville. What's up, Blake?
Yeah, hi, Todd. I love listening to your show.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I was listening tonight, and I heard that you was the weird things that people have swallowed is Allen County Museum.
The museum, the museum of weird things that have been swallowed.
Yeah. And I haven't been there since the late 90s, probably early 2000s, but it's really, there's a lot of different things to see there.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, Blake, since the late 90s, I think people have become progressively stupid. So there's probably a lot more artifacts to be seen.
Yeah.
Now here's a question, and I'll have to delve into this tomorrow. I'm running out of time here, but I wonder if if this is how the museum works: is if somebody swallows something and they go, "Oh my God, I swallowed this," and then they somehow retrieve it and then they send it to the museum for display. Is that? I wonder if that's what they do. That's weird. All right, Blake, I appreciate your call. I'll have to learn more about that. Well, there you go, folks. There's the show for tonight. Thank you for listening. And we'll be back tomorrow just after 6. Don't forget, you can get the podcast of this show at eveningedgetodd.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can always follow me on social media at Evening Edge Todd. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. By Friday, I will have details on the Evening Edge Cheez-It celebration that will be taking place on Friday, June 2nd. I just need to firm a couple of more things up, and then I will have the full details by Friday. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, of course, on the live stream, and thanks for listening tonight. We'll talk to you just after 6 here on the Evening Edge tomorrow. Thanks for watching tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for the info on all the weird places in Ohio. I love it. And I think that would be fun. I think it'd be fun to go on a tour, for sure. Gotcha, Melody. Thank you so much. Have a great night.